Today on the show, I have John Howie, the head of sales channel marketing at Vanguard for Financial Advisor Services Division. John is building out the channel marketing function and the team behind it. He spent nearly 2 decades in sales and distribution before crossing over into marketing, giving him something rare, a practitioner's understanding of what it actually takes to reach financial advisors in the field and a builder's instinct to design something better. That and much more with John Howie.
Are you ready to go beyond the basics of marketing? I'm Alan Hart, and this is Marketing Beyond, where I chat with the world's leading chief marketing officers and business innovators to share ideas that spark change and inspire you to challenge the status quo. Join us as we explore the future of marketing and its endless potential.
Well, John, welcome to the show.
Alan, good to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, I hear you like jumping out of planes.
I wouldn't say I like jumping out of a plane. I jumped out of a plane once. We had a ticket that we never used, right? And so my pastor, a couple of folks from the church, we had decided to go skydiving. And so I'm like, I'm going. My wife was cool. Driving on the way to the skydiving facility, I was behind a funeral and a hearse. And so I show up at the skydiving place and I call my wife and I say, guess what? She's like, did you jump? I was like, no, I'm having second thoughts on the way down here. I was driving behind a hearse. I don't know if that is a sign that I should do this or not. It was a great experience though. I mean, you get like 360-degree views. And it just freed my perspective around just thinking outside the box. So it was a great experience. I would never do it again. I had one child at the time. Now I have three. And so I'm a bit more cautious about that. And I don't know if we talked about this, but I would never like bungee jump.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like skydiving, you have, it's like your chute, you got a backup chute. Then, I did tandem with an instructor. So you got like a couple chances, right? Bungee, you got one chance. And that to me is a little too risky.
Love it. Love it. I love it. I love it. And the visual of like riding behind a hearse and a funeral
Oh, sure.
on the way to
Yeah.
jump out of an airplane. Yeah.
I'd literally almost,
I don't think I could have done it.
it was very close to not being
Yeah.
an experience.
You are now the head of sales channel marketing at Vanguard. Where'd you get your start in your career? And like, how'd you end up at Vanguard?
I've been fortunate to be at Vanguard for 17 years. And I've had various roles, building teams, optimizing teams, transforming teams in different functions. So investment operations, finance operations, client service, but half of those 17 years have been leading sales teams in a B2C context in our retail business, and most recently 5 years in our B2B intermediary advisory business. So I led RIA sales teams for the last 5 years. I led a coverage strategy project, and we had an opportunity to put me into a marketing role. And so I'm like, let's do it. And so here I am 100 days into marketing.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
welcome. Welcome
Yeah.
to the marketing world.
Yeah, marketing is a fascinating world, but I underappreciated the many disciplines under the sort of, quote unquote marketing discipline. And it's a world where I can see, you spend in, 3-4 decades doing great work for clients. And so hopefully that'll be part of my story.
All right. Well, awesome. Yeah. I mean, marketing has got, art, copy, data, tech,
Yeah.
like analytics,
Yep.
science.
Yep.
It's all in there.
And you have like the ad world,
Right.
and you have the creative world, and you have the strategy world, and then, different flavors and permutations of that. I'm so really excited to be in marketing.
I think about your organization, like what's in that group? Like what's the scope of what you're doing for Vanguard?
So I have sales channel marketing, as I mentioned, and that's a team of 5 awesome sales channel marketers. So they're senior channel marketers aligned to our intermediary advisory sales channels. So the way that we cover the marketplace, we have an RIA market focus. It's big aggregators all the way to, all the way down the spectrum. Then we have BDs, broker dealers. So that's the wirehouses and independent and regional broker dealers. And then we have our bank asset manager and insurance channel. So that's major banks and investment providers, insurance providers, et cetera, TAMPs. And then we have a national accounts channel that sits across all those channels. So we have marketing teams, so senior marketing managers, junior marketing managers, channel specialists, aligned creatives, project managers, program managers. And so I oversee and serve that organization. And our job really is to translate selling realities into marketing solutions.
Well, I always love having historically sales focused folks on
Yep.
the show because I
Okay.
get to ask some questions
Your
like,
whole face lit up.
I
So
know,
I'm
right?
like, what are we,
Where are we going
uh-huh,
next?
uh-huh.
What surprises? So, I mean, how does marketing,
Yep.
because mostly marketers listening to us,
Yeah, okay.
how do we earn the trust of sales?
I have to be careful about this, right? Because I think it, in certain respects is not about earning trust. It's about creating common spaces for understanding,
Yeah.
right? So, from the sales side, we would often say, does our marketing teams actually understand what we do? Do our marketing partners understand the selling realities? I wake up in the morning, I have a book of business of maybe 200 or 300 firms. I have multiple fields of play within each of those firms, different altitudes of audiences and needs and perspectives. And I just want to be helpful. I want to deliver solutions to these folks, but the dynamics change every single day. I'm on the road 3 or 4 days a week, and I have all of these insights and updates that are, sent my way. And I often wonder, does marketing actually understand that when they create content for me, when they create solutions for me? And what we wanted to transition into, and this is part of what my team is working on, is not create for, but create with,
Hmm.
right? And so we're creating spaces, and I think that's what marketers can maybe think about in their own functions or domains or industries is what is the connectivity with the sales teams and how are there shared spaces to create platforms for realities to come to fruition, right? Here's an example. I was in my role for maybe 30 days and I started meeting with all sales teams, different altitudes, so sales execs, sales leaders, et cetera. And what came out of that was 5 selling realities. And so now what I'm doing with those 5 selling realities is I'm integrating those selling realities in the way that we think about creating marketing solutions, not just for my teams, but our investment product marketing teams, our content and thought leadership marketing teams, our creatives. And so we can ask questions when we're producing solutions, do they tie back to these selling realities?
Yeah.
And so that's just a practical example of how maybe a marketer or marketing teams can think about, and again, not creating trust, but creating common spaces for
Yeah.
shared understanding around realities.
I love that. I mean, it's honestly, it's not that different in a B2C context where you're working with the customer reality, right? Like what are they experiencing at that moment in time? And like how do I best make it a little easier, a little less friction, but also get them what they need to make their decision or do
And
their thing?
here's another thing too. We in marketing have, I think, a rich, robust data set like market intelligence on buying preferences and perceptions and awareness and propensity to buy and a whole spectrum of intelligence that I believe is underutilized within the sales context,
Hmm.
right? And so I think that's a capability I think that can be broadly exploited, not with sales, but within the context of a distribution selling system. And that's one of the spaces that Vanguard is evolving into that I've appreciated having a tailwind coming into this role. In the sales context, we would often be presented marketing intelligence, but sometimes we would say, okay, that's what someone said in a survey. But there's a difference between what someone says and what they actually do,
That's
right?
yeah,
And so
fair.
the sales point of view is I know what these people are doing. I'm talking to them every day. We have really personal relationships where they're telling me what they're doing. And sometimes that's different than what the survey results say they're saying they do, right? So I think it's like bringing together both of those worlds to have a more powerful value proposition for the client to help them achieve their goals. And then in our context within wealth management, to help the end investor achieve their goals.
It makes me think about buying a house, right? You like to think that you did all your due
Yep.
diligence and you spreadsheeted it out, what's the total cost of ownership of this house and blah,
Yep.
blah, blah. But you know in the back of your mind that like you just walked in and it felt right.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yep. And you're like, all the other stuff went to this. I used to sell real estate, by the way, and
Oh,
mortgages. Yeah, I
okay.
had a
Yeah.
real estate
Yeah.
mortgage business with my family. And it's the same thing. It's like
Yeah.
you look them in the eye and you're like, it's probably the one for them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, let's shift from sales to customer. Like, because you've got sales and marketing. How do you think about bringing the customer or the client perspective into the room when you're making all these tough decisions and thinking about what you're going to do next?
I want to start using the term in our conversation. I'm going to start using the term distribution system,
Yeah.
right? Because I think when we frame it as sales versus marketing or sales and marketing in a B2B context, in the same way that there are multiple buying influences that shape a buying decision, there are multiple partners that enable organizations to distribute products and services to their customer. And it's not just sales and marketing. So I'm going to use distribution system, bringing the client to the forefront. We will use language like, what is the client trying to fix, accomplish, or avoid? And if we think about the value proposition to the customer, it's understanding their needs deeply within the context of, and whatever your selling process is, what are they trying to fix, accomplish, or avoid? And what are their realities? What are their motivations? What are their incentives? And start every problem or every business case or every opportunity or every aspiration with the client reality first, and then walk backwards and deconstruct what's your opportunity set? How do you like bring that to fruition? What's the best hypothesis for you to kind of move through your, product development cycle or your solution cycle, but keep the client in the forefront. And what I've seen us do, and I don't think that we're perfect by any means, but we do try and start with the client. You get out of what's your role versus my role, who's responsible for this, who's going to get credit for this. It's like, what's the best outcome for the client, right? And it kind of keeps ego in check
Yeah.
a little bit. It avoids distraction risk from solutions not actually tying back to what does the client really care about? And how can we create client value based on the problems that they're trying to solve?
What are the tips, or how do you think about changing from the inside out?
Well, number one, I don't think I have it figured out, right? But I think in states of transformation, which I think as an aside, AI has created a reality where we will, I believe, be in a state of continual transformation. So I don't think it's like once and done, you deploy these practices and then you're like in steady state in a steady business cycle. I think we're going to be in this state continuously. So your number one, I guess, goal is to transition your mindset from I'm trying to achieve an objective, right? To I'm trying to influence somebody's reality. I keep using the reality word
Yeah.
because I think that's part of what's been sticking for me. And so, like, people internally need to be sold to, right? They need to be convinced. They need to be brought along. We'll use a term, head, heart, and hand. How am I thinking about the head, like the business case and the rational sort of understanding, sort of left brain kind of areas of focus? Hearts, how do I actually get buy-in
Right.
from people where they'll be the culture carriers, right, themselves, as opposed to a transformation office driving the change. And then the hands is like, how do you inspire people to go above and beyond? Like, change and transformation requires discretionary effort. And in order for people to give discretionary effort and not just close the laptop or walk out the door at 4:30, whatever the case may, no disrespect if people walk out the door at 4:30. I'm not saying that is
Right.
good or bad. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, is like discretionary effort that requires
Right.
engagement, that requires, having mechanisms for people's voices to be heard. But at the end of the day, and I used to tell some of my sales colleagues, they're great at selling externally, and not often great at selling internally,
Mm.
right? You have multiple fields of play inside your organization, and they have different needs and different altitudes that need to be spoken to. And so, how do you orient your strategies and your tactics to be able to kind of sell across multiple fields of play internally at the firm? And so, I have tried to get better at that myself and coach and develop the folks that are in my sphere of influence to do the same.
How does AI alter the change management process, or how does it change the dynamic?
Well, what I am observing is AI is a powerful enabler to a business strategy. It can also be a powerful source of distraction risk. And so, because the potential solutions are evolving so rapidly within AI, you have to be very careful to both one, create clarity for your organization around what is your stance about how AI will help you to be successful in the long term. And our CEO has been very clear about our point of view and being an AI forward organization, but AI not being the mission of the organization, it's an enabler to the mission. So that's kind of step one. Step two is like being very transparent about what are the use cases and the tools available and where do you want folks to, and I think this is important, to really have candid conversations about their fears, their uncertainties, their doubts,
Right.
while not taking away from the fact that we still have a job to do. We still have to show up and create great work.
Right.
We still have to be great collaborators with each other. And we still have to be what I would just say is like uniquely human. And so keeping folks, concentrated there. Where I think AI gets difficult for all of us is you're trying to create, scenarios of the future
Hmm.
that you can then tie your business strategies to, or it's like rapid acceleration for scenarios we haven't even thought of. And so how do you peg your business strategies to such a dichotomy of permutations of what AI can do? And so I think you got to keep your folks focused on doing great work right now and then unleashing areas for them to create safe spaces to talk about and then share best practices.
I love that the last point, just like the spectrum of how talent and the thought process of like how work gets done just changes dramatically. Like I've seen it with folks that are deploying AI. I think everyone's tendency is to start with the productivity enhancements, the little like AI beside me, and then you get to this point where people, I think, they're in it and they start to understand what the possibilities are, and it opens up a whole new playing field.
Here's one case, and I have a really cool boss that I work for. I love working for. Actually, all my bosses have been like pretty cool. Creative thinker, like push like big, bold, better ideas, right? And we're talking about, AI a couple weeks ago. It's like, look, it helps you to do better work, right? Like it helps to make the work better, but it doesn't replace the creative instances that are uniquely human, that prevents cognitive dissonance between what AI could do versus what humans can do. Just personal point of view. Marketing fascinating to me because there's always more work than you have hands and time to do. And so I like have a lot of ideas, and my team gives me feedback about this. And so I'm like trying to, and I just kept, no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. And I'm like, well, what can we do? Right. And so I'm like, hey, how about AI use cases free up some of the mundane tasks? And I hate to use that word because I'm sure it's like overblown right now, but I think that's the reality. Deploy AI use cases into workflows and create collaborative, agent relationships. So those standard repetitive tasks can be taken care of and we can actually do more. We can do more. And not only can we do more, but we can do better. So like, for example, we have a AI, it's called Jarvis. Really cool name, by the way. And it allows our marketers to get through basic startup tasks for a concept, like really quickly. Like, briefing starts and all of that. And I'm like, yes, let's roll that out really fast. My organization said, no, we can't move that fast, or we have to like make sure that we're, but like those are the things where I would love to get that in the hands of marketers faster. I think they would want that because it gives them more creative space to work with the client, with their business partners around ideas that they just wish they had more time, while also freeing up them to like spend more time with their families.
Yeah.
Dare I say that,
Right.
right? Or like enjoying hobbies, right?
Right.
Or doing things that aren't, associated with marketing solutions.
Yeah.
You just get more time to spend with your family and doing those things too.
Yeah. I love it. One of the things we like to do is get to know you a little bit better. We know you've had some interesting experiences from the outset of this conversation, but my favorite question to ask everyone that comes on the show is, has there been an experience of your past that defines or makes up who you are?
So I started in this industry in 2008. I graduated from school May 17th. I got married to my first wife May 21st. I started Vanguard August 4th. My grandfather passed away at the end of August. My daughter is born September 11th. And then my grandmother passed away at the end of the year. And of course, I told you I had a small real estate and mortgage business. And so that defines and shapes a little bit of, I think, my story around transformation and constantly having to reinvent or figure things out is this idea of being resilient, right? And, that's helped me to kind of relate to people going through different seasons of life earlier in my leadership journey and just being able to understand that they're usually on the other side of adversity, there's always an opportunity for better or more. And so that shapes my leadership style, my philosophy, how I show up with colleagues that I meet. in different spaces that I'm involved in outside of Vanguard.
Yeah. No, well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, that series of events is quite a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah. What I appreciate about the firm, and it's really good, like cultural point that I think marketers kind of carry a little bit of stewardship around culture and brand is, the firm showed up. And so how do you show up in these moments? Like, how are we showing up now in this transformational moment with AI, right? With resiliency and empathy, but then also like a commitment to the client to do what's in the best interest of the client. And so I think humans will remember this moment for a lot of brands. And so we have an opportunity to steward that really carefully.
Awesome. Well, if you were starting this journey all over again, what would you tell younger John?
I remember I got a really surprising performance rating at the middle of a year. This was years ago, and like my soul was crushed. I mean, like my identity and like everything, and I was just like, my engagement was like it felt like something was taken from me. But I realized my identity was wrapped up in my performance rating at my job. And so then the reason why I tee that up is because what I would tell myself is my identity is not as attached to a performance rating. It's not attached to performance necessarily, right? And so all of the experiences where I've had to traverse imposter syndrome or figuring out like how do I fit in or how do I create my natural authentic self, both expressed in my work or the people that I lead or the relationships that I establish, it's not attached to a rating that someone else defines. Now, again, that's different from me wanting to be great at my job. I have a really high standard for performance excellence, but I would detach that from my identity, and I would probably coach myself earlier around that.
I mean, I have to say, you sound like a pro athlete, right? Like wins
Well,
and
I ran
losses
track.
happen.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah.
a I was a 110-meter hurdler, state champion in high school.
Oh,
There's
wow.
a little bit of
See,
that
I didn't
inside.
even
Yeah.
know.
Oh
I didn't
yeah.
even know.
Yeah.
It's the process,
Yeah.
right? Not
Yeah.
the outcome.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Work the
And
process.
enjoy. And how about this, right? For all of us, like enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is a moment where, like, are we being stressed out about, like or, like, am I enjoying being in this moment in time to seize opportunities, right? That'll be in history books if we well, not history books, but I guess history, insert new term for book,
Yeah.
for generations.
I love it. Well, what are you trying to learn more about right now?
AI application in education,
Hmm.
in faith, in medicine, in food. Like, the possibilities are just endless, but they're also I'll just stick with the positive terms, intriguing, right? And there's a lot of curiosity I have. How do you educate? Because I have 3 kids. I have a 17-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old, and my wife and I, we've been married for 12 years, and we talk about this all the time. It's like, what is the educational offer for them in a world of AI today? Or if we have another child, it's like what does that look like?
Right.
Right? Like faith and different, experiences and relationships to faith in a world of AI, the possibility of medicine. But I feel like I have to be responsible to keep up with at least the conversations in those spaces. So I'm curious about all of that.
All right. Well, a couple of more questions. What do you feel like is the largest opportunity or potential threat facing marketers today?
I think it's under appreciating the moment to have this be a catalyst for more creative ideas, right? So, on one hand, we are in an environment where you can make magic happen in ways that we never thought possible. And I think that is like kid in the candy store moments for marketers. On the flip side, I think we can also be tempted to push so hard on productivity to move faster and to do more things that we get outside of what makes marketing great, which is creative ideas that are sparked in the moment to create emotional appeals and ways to move people towards things that they care about and things that brands care about. And so I'll take it back to AI. AI can accelerate those possibilities for us. They can also distract us from those potential possibilities. And I think that's the biggest threat. It's like if you have AI scaled in an organization just to be practical on bad processes, it's only going to amplify more bad things,
Right.
right? As opposed to the flip side
Yeah.
of how does this help us to be more curious, more
Mhm.
creative,
Mhm.
more courageous, better at storytelling and conversation and critical thinking, that helps us to get at client solutions and creating value
Right.
with each other.
It makes me think about, like, I've used this analogy before, with all the performance marketing as an
Yeah.
example, right?
Yep.
Like, we got really good at optimizing
Yep.
those formulas,
Yep.
right? But what happens is we need to look for the opportunities where we can change the context in which those formulas run, and the output may tank, right? And that's where creativity comes in particular. Like, how do I reframe this in a way that changes the algorithm I'm using?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. All right. Well, last question. We're at Adobe Summit.
Okay. Yep.
AI is everywhere.
Yep.
If you had your personal choice, what would you have an agent or an LLM do for you?
This is not mind blowing,
Yeah,
right? But I I want to spend more time with my family, honestly.
that's a fair.
Right?
Yeah,
I work a lot. I work really hard in many different spaces. And I actually think this is probably practical, right? Optimize my day such that I can bring the best of myself to work and the best of myself to my family. And so an LLM and again, there are workflows and things I'm sure that I could be using more of, but like that's it for me, you know?
I love that answer.
Yeah.
Well, John, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's been awesome, a
Yeah,
fantastic opportunity.
appreciate it.
Hi, it's Alan again. Marketing Beyond is a Deloitte digital podcast. It's created and hosted by me, Alan Hart, and produced by Sam Robertson. We have even more cutting-edge marketing insights headed your way. Be sure to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with our latest episodes. I love hearing from listeners. Share your thoughts about the episode, the topic covered, or the show by commenting on this video or emailing me at marketingbeyond@deloitte.com. If you're interested in more conversations with industry visionaries, we invite you to explore other Deloitte Digital podcasts at deloittedigital.com/US/podcast. There you'll find the Marketing Beyond webpage with complete show notes and links to what we discussed in the episode today. I'm Alan Hart, and this is Marketing Beyond. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Deloitte. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only and does not imply endorsement or opposition to any specific company, product, or service.